The Art of Leadership Network.
Hey leaders, welcome to the Lead Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Jenni Catron, CEO of the Foresight Group. We are a company dedicated to helping leaders develop thriving teams. Each week, I'll be your guide as we explore practical strategies to equip you with the tools you need to lead with clarity, confidence, and build unstoppable momentum in your organization. My mission is to be your trusted coach, empowering you to master the art of self-leadership so you'll learn to lead yourself well so you can lead others better. Each week, we take a deep dive on a leadership or a culture topic. You'll hear stories from amazing guests and leaders like you who are committed to leading well. So let's dive in and keep learning on this leadership journey together. Well, friends, we are wrapping up our Summer of Leadership series, The Skills That Shape Culture. And if you've been with us for each episode, you've walked through 8 of the most essential leadership skills for building and sustaining culture. Now, these weren't just soft skills. They were culture-shaping tools. They're really the building blocks for leaders who want to influence and not just manage. So let's do a quick recap, and then I want to talk a little more intentionally about what to do next, because I've heard from a number of you how helpful these tools are, and yet you are still trying to figure out how exactly do I build this out in my culture, right? It's patient and persistent work. And so I want to talk about some very practical next steps. We're more than halfway through the year, and many of you are planning and thinking about 2026, and I want to help you think about how to invest in the health of your culture in the coming year. So before we get there, let's do a quick recap on each of the 8 skills. So we started with self-leadership because the hardest person to lead is you. But it's also the most important because your habits, your mindset, and your energy set the tone for your team. So goes the leader, so goes the team. You know it, you've seen it. If you have some self-awareness, you know that when you walk into the room, you influence the room. So we need to lead ourselves well. Like whatever we hope for, whatever we want to be true of our cultures, it starts with us. The second skill is emotional intelligence, which is some of that self-awareness piece. Because if you can't read the room, you can't lead the room. EQ is what enables you to connect, to empathize, and to build trust. We need emotionally smart leaders. Our third skill was communication. Culture is built by what you say and how you say it. So clear, consistent communication really is a sign of respect, and it breeds clarity. So one of the things we hear often, we see it nearly every organization we work with, is that where there's a lack of clarity, there's usually a lack of trust. Where there's a lack of clarity, there's usually a communication breakdown. And so I don't think we've done an engagement survey with the team that communication didn't show up as a weakness. Like we're all struggling to do that one well. So the better we can be at it as leaders, the better our teams will be as well. The fourth one was decision-making. Every decision you make communicates values. It communicates what's important. So confident, aligned decisions bring momentum rather than confusion. So decision-making, how we make decisions, the team understanding our process for making decisions, really, really important to healthy culture. The fifth one was delegation. You gotta let go to grow. Like we love to hold on to things. Sometimes it's a sense of something I can accomplish and I can do. Sometimes it's a control thing. When you delegate well, you show trust, and trust is the currency of great culture. So delegation creates margin. And so as leaders who want to build great teams, we've got to be sure we're delegating well. 6 is accountability. And accountability isn't punitive. I think sometimes we think of accountability as a negative, but it's actually quite purposeful. It says, I care enough to expect your best. I care enough to hold you accountable to do what you said you would do. And being clear about those expectations, so that's back in our communication, is the clarity of expectations, and then holding people accountable to that is healthy within a culture. There's good and healthy ways to do that, but accountability is really key to great cultures. Number 7 is feedback. Feedback isn't criticism, it's investment. It helps people grow, stay aligned, and even feel seen, right? Like, we want to know how we're doing. I want feedback. I want to know, is this valuable? Am I helping you? Feedback is so meaningful to all of us. And sometimes we're afraid of it. And the thing we've got to be conscious of is whether we're only giving critical feedback or whether we're also giving constructive and positive feedback. We've got to be thoughtful about giving feedback in all ways. And then number 8, ownership. Ownership isn't about a title, it's an attitude. When leaders take personal ownership of culture, teams follow. When leaders take personal ownership for what they're responsible for, it models it to others, and others also begin to take ownership. And so these 8 skills are so powerful. When leaders begin to lean into them, grow in them, you're also going to see that grow throughout your organization. So here's what I want you to understand. This entire journey fits into the 4th phase of the lead culture framework, which is the equip phase. Now, I think I told you at the beginning of this series, we are also finding that this is where we see a lot of breakdown in cultures, is when our leaders at every level are not following through on the culture we've defined. And so we want to make sure we're equipping our leaders at every level to reinforce the culture we aspire to. At Foresight, we help leaders master these foundational skills because clarity fuels confidence, and confident leaders create thriving cultures. So, what do we do from here? The question is, if we believe these skills matter, how do we support them practically? How do we make sure they stick, right? Like, it's great to listen to all of this, but we've got to be able to actually put them into action. And one way you do that is you align your budget with your priorities. Like, what you give time and resources to is what gets your attention. If it's important to you, you devote resources to it. And so this is why, as you're thinking about, maybe you're planning for the fall, maybe you're planning already for 2026, you need to be intentional and purposeful about being proactive about your culture. If I could wave a magic wand and I could get leaders to be proactive about culture instead of reactive to it, I think we would see our workplaces change significantly for the good. So many times we get called when cultures are in crisis, when a leader has seen significant turnover, like 1/3 of the staff have left in the last year, and all of a sudden they're like, what is going on? Or they've gotten enough complaints, or the board has kind of said, time out, something's wrong. The exit interviews are scathing about the environment and the culture. And you're like, what? That's not my experience. But the exit interviews are saying that that's what the team are experiencing. Or maybe you're just seeing some sluggishness and you're losing traction. Maybe your team just feel disengaged and are not like showing up with the same level of enthusiasm that they used to show up with. We typically get called when it's gotten to crisis mode. And if I could do anything, I would have every leader be proactive about culture. So I want you to really think about this. If you want a better culture in 2026, it starts with giving culture attention now. It starts by making space in your budgeting for it in 2026. So I want you to really think about this. You budget for a lot of important things, salaries, of course, rightly so. We want to make sure that we've got resources to pay good team members. That's a part of it. You budget for marketing, facilities, operations, like you have all your budget line items. Do you have a budget line item for culture? Do you have a budget line item for the health of your team? Are you investing in your people and in the culture? It's not just about the perks. I'm not just saying, hey, make sure you got some pizza lunches in the budget. You've heard me enough. You know that there's so much that goes into culture that you need a true line item. Now, some of you are saying, Jenni, our budget's tight this year. I get it. I'm dealing with that with a number of different clients. I'm not asking you to overhaul and create this, massive amount in your budget, but I'm saying devote something. What is it? What is the value to you? And I'm going to share some stats in a minute, but there's truly some tangible costs. Like if you think through the amount of turnover you had last year, or the amount of money you spent into recruiting and hiring, or maybe mistakes that were costly in your organization, maybe lost productivity, you can start looking at some of those places where dollars had to be directed. And if you could proactively invest those in the health of your culture, you would be redistributing those resources. When culture is right, team members stay, performance goes up, engagement increases, and your mission moves forward. Leaders, that's the why, right? Everything we do around culture, it's in service to the mission. We're a team on a mission. So my definition of culture is clarity of who we are and how we work together to achieve the mission. The reason for this work is to equip a team to be fully aligned, unified, growing, thriving, and unstoppable in pursuit of that mission. That's our why. So let me give you some stats to kind of help give you context for this. And again, make the case for why this matters, because maybe you're saying, I get it, but I've got to make sure either my senior leader or our board, whomever might be the decision makers when it comes to budgeting, maybe they need some data to help them get the full picture. This year, Gallup released their 2024 State of the Global Workforce report. The percentage of engaged employees worldwide fell from 23% to 21%. Now, the good news was that in the US, it was like from 33 to 31%. So it's a little higher in the US, but that still means less than 1 in 3 of your employees are engaged. Now, the other thing that was curious about this is that engagement has only fallen twice in the past 12 years. So by and large, over the past 12 years, engagement has been going up, except for 2020, which was the crazy COVID year, in 2024. So leaders, we just came off of a year where employees are showing more disengagement than they have for well over a decade. And they estimate that this drop in employee engagement, listen to this, that this drop in employee engagement cost the world economy $438 billion, that's with a B, in lost productivity. That this drop in employee engagement, just that couple percentage points dip, cost our world economy $438 billion in lost productivity. When people aren't engaged, they aren't producing. They're not helping us live out the mission. And the primary cause, this is big, and this is why we spent this summer on the Summer of Leadership. The primary cause was a drop in manager engagement. Managers' engagement fell from 30% to 27%. So our managers had a steeper decline in engagement. So, and I heard this just the other day. I was in a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about, I think it was their son, who had been in management and was like, I don't want that. Took a totally different job in a different industry because they wanted to avoid management responsibility. Now, it wasn't a lazy person disinterested in doing the job. It was the headaches and the frustration that they felt. The pressure of management was like, this doesn't feel worth it. So our managers are struggling, which means leaders, we've got to be more intentional in equipping them. So manager engagement fell from 30% to 27%. However, there were 2 types of managers that were particularly affected. So young managers under the age of 35, so some of your young and upcoming leaders, their engagement fell by 5 percentage points. So again, higher percentage point drop for younger managers. And that makes sense, right? They're less experienced. We've thrown them in the deep end. Like, hey, you've got it. You can figure it out, which sounds great, but is actually negligent, because we're not equipping them to know what they need to do and helping support them in the management responsibility. So their engagement fell by 5%. Female manager engagement dropped by 7 percentage points. So my female leaders, your engagement went down even more. And I am so sorry for that. So leaders, we've got to pay attention to these things because they are showing up and they are impacting our teams probably even more than we realize. Gallup went on to say that disengaged employees cost the global economy $8.8 trillion, nearly 9% of the global GDP. I don't even know how they calculate all of this stuff, but I do know that Gallup does really good work. Disengaged employees, which again is like 2/3 of your team, are costing you a ton a ton, so much money. Organizations with high engagement, so here's the positive, see 23% higher profitability and 43% lower turnover. So in organizations with high engagement, so if you're above the average, 23% higher profitability and 43% lower turnover. So when I said budget some resources to devote to this, it's going to pay off. When leaders build a company culture around employee engagement, following science-based management practices, the result is higher productivity and profitability. Culture Amp found that culture-focused investments return an average of 311% ROI. That's over 2.3 million in impact. Companies that invest in leadership development, so here's another really good one for you. Companies that invest in leadership development are 2.4 times more likely to hit their performance targets. Wouldn't you like your organization to be 2.5 times more likely to hit your performance targets? Invest in your leaders, invest in leadership development. Guys, this isn't rocket science. Like, invest in your team. It is a game changer. Sorry, I'm being super preachy, but I just believe this so much. Guys, I've lived this. I've told you the story before, but I was really spoiled. My first job out of college was a great culture, great environment. All the ingredients of great culture were there, and I thought that was the norm. Turns out that's not the case. And so as I got into different environments, I just became so compelled to say, I am always investing in this. The teams that I've built, it's always front and center. Like, it's non-negotiable. Like, in some years, it's more than others, depending on the state of the budget. But it's not a question of if we have resources for culture building. It's just how much or what are we able to do. And so leaders, I want you to really, really give this some thoughtful consideration this year, because your team members deserve it. So when we talk about budgeting for culture, you could do the perks and the fun stuff and the pizza Fridays, all of those things, but it's really about committing to building your culture plan, that you're getting purposeful, intentional, and proactive about building a plan for your culture. There's the financial investment, leadership training, coaching, team development, celebration, tools that support connection and communication. Like, you can hit all those categories. But equally important is the time, energy, and daily rhythms that shape culture. So I am telling you, hey, make sure this is in your budget. But I also am saying it's in your financial budget, but also in your investment in time. In the Lead Culture Framework, one of the tools that we use in helping you build out your culture plan is the employee journey grid, where we're talking about how you're being strategic at every stage of an employee's journey. And so this could be both in financial resources and in time commitment. But in your interviewing process, you're making sure you're interviewing people to be a culture fit, like that they really match who you are and how you work together, that you're onboarding them with intentionality, making sure every team member knows how you work together, right? That they understand the values, beliefs, and behaviors that guide your team, that you're using your weekly staff meetings to be intentional about sharing wins and highlighting stories and celebrating values in action, that your one-on-ones, your managers know how to have really good conversation using a lot of the skills we've talked about in the Summer of Leadership series, that your managers know how to have good, meaningful conversations, one-on-one meetings with their team members, that performance reviews are being used strategically for development, not just a thing you're checking off for HR to make them happy, but you see that as an actual growth tool and a culture building tool, and that you're finding time for team building and things that create trust and connection within your team. Like, there's a whole rhythm to how you invest in culture. And the Culture Matters book, the Lead Culture Framework are all designed to help you do that. See, culture needs to be the thing that somebody on your team is waking up thinking about every day. So who's your culture champion? Who's the person on your team? It might be you, might be another leader in your organization, but who's the person whose job it is to wake up thinking about your culture plan and how you're investing in culture? Now, everybody's contributing to culture, so we want everybody on the team contributing their best, but somebody needs to wake up going, hey, how are we championing culture? Where is it showing up in our budget? How is it showing up in our rhythms? Everybody needs someone who owns it. So it might be HR, it might be people ops, might be a director of people and culture, might be an executive on your team who also wears that hat, depending on the size of your organization, but someone needs to protect it and keep it visible. So I just want you to be thinking about that. If you don't know who that person is, and if you're the senior leader, you might have every desire to do this, but it might be hard for you to wear that hat. So find somebody else on the team who is equally passionate about it and is willing to take it and champion it. Doesn't mean you're not involved. In fact, you'll have to be very involved to make sure that it's aligned with the things that are really critical and important to you. But you want somebody to be the owner and the driver of it. Okay, so here's what I want you to hear. I want to help you do this. I am deeply committed to changing the statistic of disengaged employees, right? That only 31% of our employees are engaged is terrifying to me. Like only 31%, less than 1 in 3. That means that 69% are disengaged or neutral at best. Like they're not actively working with us. So guys, we need to change that stat. I am so deeply committed to changing that statistic of disengaged employees. And the only way we do that is to get serious about investing in our culture. You need a plan, and the Lead Culture Framework walks you through building your culture operating system. That is why I built it. That is what it's designed for. I heard over and over, and I found this to be true for myself, that people would talk about what great culture looks like. And they would talk about what culture's like when it's terrible and love to complain about cultures that are awful, but nobody knew how to do it. And so that is what I've devoted my life's work to, is saying, here's the plan. Here's how you do it. So as you plan for 2026, I want to challenge you to commit to building your culture plan. Guys, quit leaving it to chance. Quit saying, oh, we'll get to it eventually. Quit being okay with people leaving your team. Quit tolerating team members who are doing the bare minimum. Create a place that attracts and retains the best talent. Make your workplace a place that people love to be a part of. It just takes intentionality. It just takes you saying, I am committed to this because people matter. People are the point. This is why we do this. The mission matters, right? People matter because culture matters, because the mission matters. I want to give you something very practical and hopefully quite helpful. This fall, we're launching the Lead Culture Network. Now, the network is a community of culture champions committed to learning and growing together. It's a like-minded group of culture champions like you who are saying, okay, I'm ready to get serious. It will equip you with resources, the latest research, expert voices, and shared learning opportunities to help you confidently lead your culture. And I'm not just saying that you as the person who wears the culture champion hat in your organization, but every leader in your organization should be a part of the network. Things like the Summer of Leadership series where we did these 8 skills, we're going to deep dive into those things. We're going to equip you very practically to lead culture, to lead well in the everyday, because how you lead is shaping your culture. So here's what it includes. Monthly training with myself and other culture experts, which are live group sessions with new content and topic deep dive stuff that we're not doing anywhere else. We're going to do inside the network. Monthly Q&A and hot seat sessions. So it's live and interactive. It's a Q&A session for you to ask your questions. You can request to be on the hot seat where we give you live coaching around whatever dynamic you're facing. And then also it's the community interaction, access to other people who are passionate about leading culture well. So lots of fun stuff. I'm super excited to launch this, and it's going to launch this fall with a founders group. So we're not broadly marketing it. We're talking to our community, people who are already connected in through the podcast, through our Insights newsletter, former clients, etc. So if you're interested in that, you can get on the wait list by emailing me at Jenni Catron, JenniCatron, at getforesight.com, GET4SIGHT.com, Jenni Catron at getforesight.com. Shoot me an email, say, put me on the waiting list. I'll know exactly what you're talking about. But leaders, let's get serious about investing in culture. Let's get proactive about investing in culture because it matters. The people you lead matter. The mission you serve matters. So culture matters. Keep leading well, and we'll see you back here next week.